I think I have to start with the US dollar because of Australia being resource heavy. We've definitely got 5 waves moving up off the low here. So we've either got an A wave here, a B wave coming in over here for this, and a C wave here. Then we come down, or we've got a bigger picture over here for 5 waves up here. So wave 1 here, wave 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, moving higher. When I look at the Australian dollar, for example, it looks like this would be the case here. But I can't rule out this one just yet. But the Aussie looks like this. I haven't seen the euro just yet. If I was thinking of indices, then I would probably be looking at this here. But I can see the US markets have still need to climb higher, so that's my bearish count, so I don't need that. I'll just go to the 20k on the US dollars, I mean on the S&P 500. So as long as the this level here, the 4,100, maintains its support, which is the old resistance here, if that long as that stays in play and moves up from here, then we've got this count that can take us higher. So this is quite a critical little area at this point in time, but that's where the US is. Obviously this 5 waves up here is going to pull back. So when this pulls back, it's going to give some reprieve to commodities and some commodity. We're a commodity country, so we got to take that on board. Now, I've been looking for a top here, as you know. It's quite a nice wave structure as wave 1 up here and 2 and then 3 here, and then it gets a little bit sort of complicated in here. It's just sort of biding its time. It hasn't corrected yet, so it's a bit of a rock and a hard place because I can see that, this particular pattern moving up through here, the US markets haven't done this. This is what the DAX has done. And, if we have a look at, let's just have a quick look at them then, the European market. So if we look at the DAX, so with the DAX here, I'm also looking for a top. I don't know if I need to put wave 4 here or wave 4 over here, probably here, and we've got some sort of 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here, because this looks corrective so far here. So as long as that low stays in play, we can have one more move up here, and that would I'll have to take it from that point, but we're looking for that sort of high there. Possible to have a high in here like the Australian market, but when we look at, it's not quite what I wanted to look at, is I just wanted to compare the bigger picture here for a moment. So you can see that, we've got pretty much the same sort of count, looking for the same thing, but there's better form here, isn't there? We can see this 1, 2, 3, 4 here, but where to put wave 4 is a bit of an issue here. If I put it here, then we can have a top here. If I put it here, then we still need this as wave 3. We'll have one more little high here. Then we'll have this sort of correction. So this correction here hasn't really sort of started, and if it did start, then it would probably be more in line with this larger correction here for the indices. But like I mentioned, this would be too big for the Australian dollar as such, and we'll get to that. But this is very much like the Australian market here, pretty identical really, isn't it? It's looking at that. So this move up here, it's quite helpful when we look at when we compare it. This one here, this is 20,000 ticks and this is a daily chart here, but it's just got better form. So we can see that, we're in a 5th wave here somewhere. We've got another little push up here. Do we get another little push up here? Is one of the questions that we need to have a look at, and that will obviously come from the banks and so on. But one of the things that I wanted to have a look at also was the English market, because there is a relationship between there, and also with the English market we were looking at wave 3, 4 and 5 going up here. Now, it's not the best 5-wave structure to the upside here, and there's a bit of overlap on wave 4 if I take it like that. Can it push up higher? Well, we're starting for the first time here, starting to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. So this is really following, you know, the move on the up in the US dollar is sort of reflecting on the downside here for this, you know. So this market, while the DAX makes a new high, we could have some sort of corrective move here and come down further on this, you know. So that puts us in this situation here where we're looking for a top. So I'll just go to the, I think we're on the 100 ticks. Let's just go in and check on this. So, you know, with the English market and the German market, we've sort of got wave 4 here, and we've been sort of counting up. This looks like a nice impulse wave here. Looks like an A wave, a B wave, and a horrible looking C wave here that could go to here or go to here. But if I took it to here, this low, this would be 1 ABC for 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and I'm wondering if we finished here, because this is very much like the English market that we just looked at, wasn't it, you know? So the US market's got a fair way to go up, you know, but we don't have to do the same. In some sort of odd way, you know, if we've actually got 5 waves down here, it's a little bit hard to decipher, but it would be basically wave 1 to here, 2 to here, and then the third wave would be to here, the fourth and the fifth here, because this is an impulsive wave here, so we're going to go up here, and this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a very nice 5 waves, and there's a lot of overlap, and it's pretty, you know, pretty dodgy. But when you look at it compared to the English market here, the FTSE, I mean, the FTSE's the same really, you know, it's just 10 times bigger in terms of volume and turnover, but it is quite a nice 5 wave structure down here, isn't it, you would have to say. So one would be very careful about how far this could actually rally back up. So looking for it to move back up to the 61.8% or 50% in this particular space here would be something we would need to see how that arrived there. Do you know, would it be if it gets 5 waves to the 61.8%, then it's bullish, but if it gets 3 waves, then we'll be looking at being bearish at that point. So I'll need to see more of this, but this is certainly a good case for having 5 waves here, and that 5 waves is really this 5 waves here in this case, you know. So we would also need to be careful of a move to the upside here as well, in terms of looking at, I'll just refine it a bit further into this little pocket here, this gap and all of that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see, I mean, this is 5 waves here, so it's likely that we're going to see another, whoops-a-daisy, grab the wrong thing. So it would be likely to see a move up here, you know, but the US markets are going to continue to move up, but yeah, so I mean, the only other way to sort of look at this is looking at this as some sort of corrective wave here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look at this as, you know, if we're going to have a look further to the upside, then we'd have to look at it like this over here. But it doesn't really, it's not a very nice corrective pattern inside of all of that, but it would be, you know, in that zone of the retracement that one would look at in between the 50 and the 60% retracement level here. So that's kind of interesting. So look, it's just goddamn messy, I have to say, and it has been for so long. You know, I mean, it's a you know, it's a nest for losing money in this little in this space. So I just think that now that the US dollar has, you know, the problem is that the US markets appear that they can go further up. I don't have any evidence of that, because they're feeling the crunch of that US dollar going up as well in this wave 4 here. So that wave, that 4,100's got a hold. But if that pushes up through here, right, then this bullish count here is just going to continue, you know, building at this point. So we've got this market that needs to move higher. It is lagging, you know, it hasn't moved up like like we just had a look at with the European markets from, you know, the October low, so to speak. This has done it in basically in, you know, in a bit of a dog leg to the upside. That can be, you know, also corrective up here. But if this is going to continue to the upside, let's just say that that's there. That's one issue. And then this US dollar here has got 5 waves here, so it's definitely going to have a little bit of a, you know, retracement and then another push to the upside. While this is retracing here, then, you know, markets like this here can move up while the dollar moves down. And when the dollar moves up again, this is going to move down again, you know. And then we've got to kind of think, well, how big is this going to get? You know, is this bigger than Ben-Hur? Are we looking at this thing over here, you know? The Australian dollar would suggest this, but, you know, the indices, really, you know, we haven't really had a correction back on this market, you know. Oh, so Daisy, I've got the wrong thing there. 220 over this side, or even daily. Let's go to daily. Let's keep it simple. So, you know, so then I think to myself, well, if the US are going to continue to go up here, do I need to look at it differently with the DAX in this market? Do I need to put wave 1 here and 2 here, and then wave 1 and a smaller wave 2 here, and then continuing up, you know, like not really having, you know, what's BHP and the banks and that going to do? You know, the US banks, they're pushing up. You know, they're not slowing down. They're pushing up further, and they'll continue to push up with the S&P. So do we just keep sort of climbing here with a smaller correction here? You know, and then you know, if we look at our banks, this is CBA here. We've been looking at this as just on 100 ticks. We've been looking up as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, trying to stretch it out as best I can. I've got 5 waves in here, so that means we'll get, you know, one more little push in here, and then that could be the top at that point, you know. Or is this just going to, because if this makes if this goes 1, 2 here and 3, 4, 5 here, anything above that, then I'm going to have to extend this up as well, you know, and then I might need to look at this as wave 1 here and 2 here, and then wave 1 and 2. So we'll have to go long above that next high there as well. I was looking for a classic trading levels pattern across this number here as a bit of a setup, but it's not really giving us any reprieve. It's still looking quite chirpy, but, you know, the arrival, the reaction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the first high above the level, then the ABC correction I was kind of waiting and looking for, so we could somewhere over here build in on the long side over here. And then we've got the resources, so we might just come back to these. I just want to just go through some of these and then sort of recap the situation again. So with iron ore here, we can see that we've been also looking for 5 waves up as well, same as our market, you know, looking for a particular top coming in, and we've seen that it's been from this point. We noticed that it was weaker, and we could see that it was arcing over, you know. So it is, you know, and it's sort of moving down a bit, and that's what BHP and all the rest of them are doing. This is US BHP here, the ADR, the depository note. So in this case, you know, when we look at the US dollar, for example, just coming back over here, this little move up here is 5 waves moving up here, right? That can be this first 5 waves moving down here. If I just remove that a bit. So you can see we've got 1, 2 here and 3, 4, 5 coming down here. I can just leave that there. So that means that if we did this one here as the A, the B and the C here, this would be the A, the B and the C here. Probably leave us a little bit short, but I think that would be sufficient to put, you know, wave 2 in here, because wave 2 can pull back to wave 4, you know, those tops in there. So that would be okay at that point at $60 for the US markets. But if we went into this one here where we had 5 waves up here, well, then that's going to leave it pretty deep at that point. That would be 5 waves down here, correction. That would have 3, 4 and 5 to this point, and then we'd have an ABC over here, and then we'll have another 5 down, so it would be way down here for that, you know. So yeah, just sort of like trying to understand what we're going to get. I mean, we will know in due course, and it's not going to bother us, but it's just nice to know before it happens, you know. it's not going to catch us out. It's just that it's just going to be, there's going to be some blind spots in all of this for a little bit when we get into here. Do we have 5 waves up here or 3 waves up and those sort of things, and how that reflects back over here with these. So the smaller version of the correction here would make sense. So this ABC pattern here would make sense. It also makes sense with gold as well. So we can look at that as well. This is our BHP here. So these are the two things here. We can have this ABC here for wave 2 and then move up from that point, which would be nice. Or we're going to have the 5 waves down here, and we're going to end up with, you know, a wave 2 over here somewhere. I mean, they're the two options we got, you know. There's nothing to do in the meantime here. As I mentioned before, you know, coming up to here, there's nothing to do except wait, you know. And one of the other things with this BHP is like, have I counted this right? Is that the load? You know, am I doing this right here? You know, that's something else that's sort of haunting me a little bit. FMG is a little bit easy because it's just got a nice 5 waves from the low, but that was over here for that. So, yeah, I mean, this is a complicated wave 2. This is simple. We've got 5 waves in here. So I think that we're on the right track. It's just a little bit odd looking, that's all. But still, it doesn't just leave. At the end of the day, we're going to get some setup across this level here. And I know if we're patient, we're going to get it. So it's fine in a way. It's okay not to know, because we'll get it in the end, you know, at the right time, or roughly the right time. And the same with Rio as well. So when you look at Rio here, if we count this up as 5 waves, which is also, you know, I'm quite happy with the 1 and the 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 3rd, the 4th, and then the 5th wave going up here, and then we've watched it turn. So it's doing the same things. I mean, some good volume came in and gave it some support on the 20, as one would expect. But can it get weaker from here? So, but like having an A wave here, B wave here, and a C wave here would line up with this as the A, the B, and the C here. That would be quite nice and tidy, you know. So we'll see how big or small this gets within, you know, in this particular space here. The same goes for FMG as well, but FMG's had this nice low here, so I could count 5 waves up, but you know, it doesn't want to come down. It might just do its own thing here, you know. But a smaller correction here would be, you know, would be suffice for this market as well. Just something coming back to this wave 4 here. That would be quite nice and tidy, really, for this. You know, that's all kind of doable at this point. And see, we have to remember that, you know, the S&P 500 is still in, you know, it's in this bullish mode to the upside. Yes, it can be an A wave to here, a B wave to here, and a C wave to here and fail. I don't think that's the case. I think we've got lows in the stock market and we're heading higher. But I still need to move past this A, B, and 5 waves up here for wave C. We still have to move past that to really validate it. Do you know what I mean? It's like we can't just stick our head in the sand, you know. So but anyway, getting back to this, so we may just have a smaller correction here for this, you know, something into the previous wave 4. So we'll just have to just keep waiting and gathering information like we're doing, and see how that sort of plays out within all of that. So before we go and have a look at the gold and that, well, we should actually just have a look at just bypass this for a moment, and we'll just stay with the gold for a moment, because it's kind of in the same pattern. So with the with the ASX200 here, if we look at this going up here as wave 1 and going back for wave 2 here, I mean, and bringing the US dollar, that's basically what, you know, from the October lows, that's, you know, that's where we're talking these, you know, well, September the 26th for this, and October for the S&P 500, pretty much October for our lows as well here, whichever way you want to go. September, you know, there's not a big difference, you know, basically, you know, with all of these lows, they're all there. The indices are a bit closer to each other, but here we've also got this 5 waves up here. And we're looking, this is GDX, not gold, but there's gold there doing the same thing. We'll just check at that in a moment. But, you know, looking at this here, it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3 down here. let's just go into, say, 20 ticks and just pull that apart for a moment and just have a bit of a look at that. So yeah, well, here we can see it pretty clearly. So we've got this move down here as wave 1 and 2 here, and then probably wave 1 here and 2 here and 3 here and 4. So this is all the third wave. So we're going to see, in this case, some sort of 4th and 5th down here, and that will be our 5 waves down, and then we'll have an ABC pattern, and then we'll go down again for another 5. And this has only been coming down for, not that long, is it, from days here. So that's the basic pattern. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. And I just want to go back to the daily chart. And yeah, it's not much help for Newcrest mining because Newmont has bought them out. I'll put a bid in there. Still haven't read the story. What am I looking for here? Daily chart. But just to give us the size of this, so looking at all of this here, this A wave that's not finished here as 5 waves down, then some sort of B wave here, and then some sort of C wave here, that kind of makes about the right look and feel of it all, doesn't it? So that means that the DXY coming back over here, it would make this ABC more sort of available for the commodities section, which then reflects back on the ASX as well in all of that. And then the ASX can somehow merge itself in with the S&P 500 to continue the bigger bullish picture to the upside. So the correction that we're looking for Rio and BHP and all the rest of them and gold could be sort of, not such a big deal, really. Do you know what I mean? We're already a third of the way through, and then the time that the S&P has got this wave 4, this wave 4, and this wave 4. So the time that they finish these, because they're only going to get more complicated, these wave 4s, and time consuming and all the rest of them, and why they're dealing with that, these markets can be dealing with this, and then they can all be on their merry way again. So that's what I'm sort of thinking. But then it brings back to the ASX here again, is like, how do we fold this into the ASX as such, So and the DAX and the FTSE, they're all of those markets are in this, So in a way, we can see the US dollar bouncing off the 100 as kind of roughly expected, and we knew that would upset the apple cart for the markets in certain markets. And so I don't think the correction that we're going to get here is that big, because also with the with the banks, we've been tracking the Bank of America, here's Goldman's here as well. So I like to look at things in both ways. I like to, if I'm going to be bullish in the market, I want to know the bearish count. If I'm bearish in the market, I want to know the bullish count. I want to know both sides. I want the full picture, So this is why Goldman's is like this. But we're looking at wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So we can see that, Goldman's are going to be, as impulsive here, and we're long on BAC, Bank of America. But this is positive here, and taking out this top here would eliminate the bearish count, that would be the end of the bearish count, full stop, which taking out this top here would do that anyway. So, the bears have gone now, as far as I can see. But anyway, we need more evidence of things, but I won't get carried away. Try not to get emotional about these things. But what I'm saying here is that these can just continue. Sure, look, this, I haven't pulled this apart. It'll probably pull back here and rock our banks as well. But, our banks are going to be following this up, Westpac and CBA and all of that. So I was just with CBA, I was just looking for, really that little dance across the 110 here, so we could go long, waiting for this to pull back in some way so we can go long again. We've got wave 2. Really, this will need to be basically wave 1 up here again and wave 2 over here, and I'll lift it up 1 degree of structure and all of that sort of stuff. But we've got to get this, but I want to see this first. So anyway, that's trying to just weave, this sometimes the big bowl of jelly, wobbling, you kind of see all the wobbles in the market and you can sort of bring them all in, and that's what I'm sort of trying to do. But I have had a bit of difficulty in trying to bring them all together and try to make them sort of fit in a way. I'm getting there, but we still need to do things. So first of all, we would definitely need to see the S&P and the NASDAQ move up, and stock to move up and continue to do all of that. We definitely need to see some type. I know this is a really tight situation in here, and the banks are creating this. So yeah, I just think we just need to be a little bit more patient and see what effects this gives us at this point for that. Coming back to the gold here, so we know that the gold here will be something like this. That will be a day or two, and then this will be 3 days here. Maybe I'll be more than that really. This has been like already quite some time here, so this is going to be the A wave has been 1 2 3 that 4 days there, 4, and then so that's going to be 4 days over here. That's another 2 here, so it's 4 6. This is going to be probably 5. So yeah, probably closer to the end of the month for this to push up here, Anyway, we'll see how long it takes. And then US spot gold is the same as well. So as you know, I've merged this count into that as well. There's different ways to count this. If I'm wrong, we can look at this as a wave 4, and that would just go straight up from that point. And if it was a wave 4, then we can look at this slightly differently over here. But yeah, I mean, this is pulling back here, so this will help us with the B wave here for this. So I think we're on the right track of the ABC here for this. Now, Newcrest has had that bid in place from Newmont, so it's put a bit of a spanner in the works. So there's different ways we could look at this. We could look at it as wave 1 up here and coming back for wave 2 and those sort of things. We could bring wave 2 over here. We could look at wave A here. We could probably put wave B over here, and we could look for wave C to come back as wave 2 here. There'll probably be good support here. But there's different ways to look at it, so it'll just work itself in with GDX and all the rest of it. So it could even when those guys have their B waves up there, it could get another little high here and then come down from this point and then go up. It'll be something like that, do you know what I mean? And we'll just have to tie it in and make it work and all those sort of things. But as I say, with this market is definitely to be in the gold markets somewhere, the ones that have got the best dividends and that are following GDX and the main market to the upside. So I didn't look at the lithium stocks, so we need to do that. Now this PLS here, I think I might just leave it at this for the day actually. This wave 1 and 2 and 3 is pretty straightforward to me. We could have looked at this as the A wave, the B wave, and 1 2 3 4 5 down here for the C wave here, but that's not playing out very nicely here. So we've got this other movement coming in here, so we need to reconcile that in a way. And so how do we look at that? We could look at it as down for 1, back for 2, down for 3, back for 4, and then making a new low down here for wave 5 and try to forget about that spike here and just go 1 2 3 4 something 5, or an ABC for 4 and 5, something down here. So but that would give us 5 waves down at that point, wouldn't it? So that would, but also too, wave 4 overlaps wave 1, so that's probably not the case. So, what do we have here? We certainly could say that we've got a more complicated wave 4 at this point in time. This is not really displaying as an impulse wave to the upside, so it's part of a corrective pattern as well. So we'll probably see a bit more downside to this as well. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but there can be something like an A wave here, some sort of, I don't know, some WXY in here. I'll have to mull that over a little bit. But we're definitely in a more complicated wave 4 here. We've still got good support here. We're in group 2 here, so the 80, 465 here, 46.50, the lower end of group 2, and 72 in here, of course, but I won't worry about that at the moment. So we've got everything is happening as it should in terms of support. Then the upside here is 50, 53, 52 and 51. That's group 1 here, roughly speaking, and this will be the swing range here. So we're still within the swing range. So this is still the buying. This thing just stretches. I don't know what that green thing does. It just stretches across there. I'll put it back over here, wherever it was. But yeah, so it's pretty clear to me that we've got that. When the US dollar kicks back, then we'll probably see this push to the upside to finish that off. But then once it does that, we're still going to have an ABC back here again as well. So we're in here for a bit of a nightmare for a while. So the other ones will be like that as well. I'll have a look at them tomorrow. I've just spent a bit too much time yakking on the other ones. So this is kind of important as well. This is the Australian dollar here. We've got our October lows a little bit later here, 13th of October. We've been counting 5 waves up here at minor degree here for this up here. This is what we'd sort of be thinking of the stock market, but in this case here we now have that mirror opposite of what's going on in the US dollar here. So with the US dollar we've got that 5 waves here, so we're going to pull back here, we're going to pull back up here, and then we're going to come down and we're going to go up here. So when we're looking at this particular market here, how big is this going to get here? So if we take on this here for that would leave us at the 50-60% here for that. Delete that. So it kind of looks okay like that, doesn't it? So as an ABC, so this ABC kind of looks okay, where this one looks a bit bigger. We could get that over here for the Australian dollar, but it's more likely this one. But I can't rule this one out yet either. We will know in due course, and we'll know when to short as well. We can obviously short under the B wave here for this, and anyway, we'll see if it's going to be 5 waves up here, the third wave is going to be strong. If this is going to be wave C here, the A wave is always strong, and then the C wave is more lazy. So if it's a lazy thing, then we'll know at that point. So we'll just need to gather evidence at that point. But it does look like this will be it here. And if this is going to be it here, then we have to consider, this is a commodity dollar, so we're going to have to expect FMG. Well, let's start from iron ore. So iron ore is going to be like this. US BHP, Rio, FMG, they're all going to have smaller corrections if this is going to be the case here, and it does look scary because the A wave is always the sharpest. You have to understand that the A wave is sharp because there's profit taking, there's overlapping wave structures at the top. We knew we had a top here somewhere. So we could see the market creeping to the upside, and when I say creeping, the previous low starts to overlap the previous high, that type of thing, creeping to the upside, and obviously the third wave is where all the stops get taken out, so and the rest of the game, emotional game begins. So we'll see this land soon, and then we'll see a B wave. We'll try and find a C wave short here for this, just in case it is a third wave to the downside. But if this is going to be a third wave to the downside, the third wave would have to be longer than the wave A here, and then the fourth wave and the fifth wave. So it's going to bring us way down here for that, and then the B wave and then the C wave. So it's going to bring us way down here for that, really low. Do you know what I mean? Like almost too low. When we look at the Australian dollar here, I'll just go to the weekly chart here just to gain a little bit of perspective here. So this is basically what we've been looking for here, looking for that 5 waves up, and this is the same for the euro, the cable, and yada yada yada, and the opposite for the US dollar. Now, we could probably look at this as wave A and B here as well, but I just think that we're in a bigger bigger situation here where we've got the A, the B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for that. Yeah, so the US dollar will be doing the opposite and then down again. But, you know, we have to gather evidence along the way, and we've got 5 waves here, so we'll get a correction and then we'll get another 5, and then we'll have a look at what that is. You know, the third wave normally comes in at the previous high. What's it mean? Didn't mean to do that. So the third wave normally comes in at the old high here, so it'll be the 4th and the 5th, something of this nature, and then down again at that point, you know. So good time to go on holidays at that point, overseas, do a few things. Okay, that's enough waffling. So yeah, so with the ASX200, I don't really have any sort of long trades or short trades for day traders at this point. You know, there's issues with that. As I've mentioned before, I think the best trades are going to come from long-term value propositions, will come from the gold market in the pullback that we're currently seeing. I think that's where the opportunity is. We won't be buying right on the low, even we'll try to find that, of course, but we'll need to build a case of a long trade setup that's going to be the safe entry for us. So yeah, I'll leave it all at that. And yeah, and also the you know, the pullback for Rio and BHP and all of those guys too. You know, they can be good as well. Alrighty, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.